What is up, everybody? This is Rob. So here's the thing. If you're shopping for a handgun in California right now, your choices, they're pretty much already limited before you even step into a gun store. We have roster rules, availability, and pricing. They all play a huge role, especially with our crazy syntax out here. That's why today I want to talk about the M&P 2.0 series by Smith & Wesson, specifically the on-roster versions, and why, in my opinion, it's becoming one of the most relevant handguns you can buy out here. Especially because the latest on-roster 2.0 offerings, which are both a polymer and metal option, are optics ready, which is a really big deal for California buyers. It's not just an update, guys, it's a shift. You see, for years, Glock was the default recommendation. Simple, reliable, and easy to learn. But in California, the landscape changed. The new Glock models are no longer on the roster, and Glocks are no longer being sold by FFLs. So what does this mean? That means that it's harder to find them. You're going to be paying crazy off-roster pricing. Guys, don't pay $1,000 for a Glock 19 Gen 3. And that also just means fewer options for new shooters. Because whether you like Glock or not, the reality is that for many Californians, myself included, Glock is no longer a practical first choice for Californians. So now the question is, what does fill that role? And to me, that's where the M&P 2.0 shines. Because at its core, the 2.0 does everything people liked about the Glock. Here's my own. It's striker fired, the controls are nice and simple, and it does have proven reliability. But it also does improve on a few things. Grip angle, more natural to a lot of shooters. The grip texture is more aggressive and controllable, and it also does come red dot ready, which I talked about before, which the on-roster Glock 19 Gen 3s did not. So don't have to pay extra for that. And the trigger, especially compared to older M&Ps, so much better. For many people, M&P 2.0 feels right pretty much the moment they pick it up. And that does matter, especially for new shooters. You see, one thing nearly everyone agrees on is that the M&P 2.0 shoots well. The recoil impulse is predictable. The grip texture, again, helps keep the gun planted. And follow-up shots are so easy to control. And the trigger, while it's not a competition trigger, it's so consistent, clean enough, and absolutely serviceable for defensive use. I mean, when I was shooting it, first two things I noticed was it did track flatter than I expected it. Definitely felt a bit softer shooting compared to other pistols I've shot, and at defensive distances, pretty easy to shoot accurately. This is my M&P 2.0, so let me go ahead and let me bring it a bit closer, and let's talk a little bit about it. So let's talk about the origins first off. This is the M&P 2.0 full-size polymer. This was the first one that was on the roster. So what that did mean was it was about a 4¼ inch barrel, and it was not red dot compatible. So for that, I wanted to fix that. So what I did was I removed the 4¼ barrel slide, and I did acquire the Performance Center. This is a full 5-inch slide. I really do like it. It does have some nice porting up on the top. Unfortunately, the barrel itself only has some porting all the way up at the top. There we go. Please excuse the dirtiness. I just got back from BLM land. I really do think, though, it looks phenomenal. It goes really well with the TLR1 HL Streamlight. Fits perfectly. You will notice I do have the calculated kinetics red dot plate up top. That is because, let me turn it like this again. This hole down here, this LCI hole, when you shoot, burnt up powder does come out of there and it will fog up your red dot. So with the plate, it actually blocks it quite a bit. It does raise up the red dot a little bit, and due to that, I cannot use these current iron sights with it. I have to get some taller ones, something to get some sort of co-witness going, but for now, it's doing the job. Now, the main thing I want to talk about is the trigger. So like I said, the M&P 2.0 does come with a pretty good trigger already out of the box. But when I bought this one secondhand, it already had the Apex trigger, so I decided to go for it. And I'm not going to lie, you guys, this trigger, it's pretty amazing. So let me show you guys. I'm going to go ahead and press the trigger. I'm going to use this finger so that you have a better view of it. So, pressing it down. So let's find that wall. Let me get it even closer to the camera for you guys. Alright, so there's the wall. It's a very crisp break. Let's see if you can hear it. There we go. Now let's talk about the reset. So I'm going to keep it pressed down, pull it back. Alright, so check out the reset. Missed that one, sorry, finger slipped. Alright, so let's get that reset going. So it's pressed down. Reset is super short. Check it out. There we go. That was the reset. So I'll do it again. So let it off all the way. Check out that take up. Let's get the brake. Cock it back. All right. And again, let's see if you can hear that reset. There we go. This trigger is phenomenal. It's about I believe a 2.5 pound trigger pull. And I'm not going to lie, it's really got me in trouble at the range because I just wanted to shoot it fast. And honestly, it just feels really good. You see, in California, the best handgun isn't just about the specs. It's also about the availability, the legality, because if you want it on your CCW license, then you will need it to be on roster. Reliability, trainability, and again, with Glock effectively off the table for many buyers, the M&P 2.0 does step into that role pretty naturally. It's modern, it's proven, and it's on roster. And whether you're a new shooter buying your first handgun or a veteran looking for a reliable workhorse, the M&P 2.0 makes a strong case for being the new de facto recommendation in California. For me personally, like I said before, my first firearm was a Glock 19 Gen 3. It was fine. You know, after about 400 or 500 shots, I kind of got the hang of that grip angle. And after that, I was pretty proficient with it. However, going to the M&P 2.0, for me, it was a bit of a shift. I did have to kind of reteach myself, you know, how to have my wrist properly set up so that, you know, I could draw the pistol and already be, you know, with the perfect line of sight and everything. But after that, I had no reason to want to go back to the Glock. You know, if you are a person who will not be shooting too often, maybe you're one of those people, and I don't recommend doing this, but you're gonna buy a pistol, maybe take it to the range once or twice, and then just leave it in the box up in the closet. Guys, don't do that, but let's face it, some people watching this might. To me, this is the better choice for that, because you're gonna have an easier time shooting somewhat decently with this, even without a lot of training. You should still get training if you're gonna have a firearm, but just in case. I have already talked about it, but again, it coming with the red dot for me, that was also pretty cool. When you do have your choice of buying an M&P 2.0, you could get either the concealed, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say concealed, the compact or the full size. The reason why was because I was thinking about how a lot of people like the compact model because with the shorter grip and a shorter barrel, it is perfect for a concealed carry. I have noticed a huge shift in people who only own Glocks getting the M&P 2.0 and then saying, that's it, that's all I want to own now. And even when I looked at my own, handgun safe, I was like, whoa, I have a Bodyguard 2.0, a Shield Plus, and now this M&P 2.0, pretty much all Smith & Wesson at this point. Oh, and also a Smith & Wesson 686 revolver. It's just a very solid company. Their offerings are amazing. And again, that's why, for me personally, M&P 2.0, that was it. Of course, people do have their gripes about the M&P 2.0 series. Number one being, compared to Glock, customization just not as great. Heck, even finding an extended slide release for this pistol was not an easy thing. I just have an OEM extended on here. That's just how it works, you guys. Glock, they're just going to stay the king of that. Number two, some people do find the grip a little bit too rough. Especially if you're going to CCW it, right? You don't want something chafing your body the entire time you're carrying it. I did have to hit the back strap with a little bit of sandpaper just to keep it just a little bit less rough. You know, I would notice after putting about 150 rounds through it, some parts of my hand would start feeling a little bit chewed out from it. You know, those are the two main complaints I've been seeing about the M&P 2.0. And honestly, to me, they're not even the worst complaints because they're things that you can fix or just get used to. For example, not as much customization being on. So my final thoughts, okay? In California, availability matters just as much as performance. Again, Glock is out right now. So that's where the M&P 2.0, I feel, should be filling in that role. Reliable, modern, on roster. When I see people at the gun store and I see that they are looking for their first handgun, I always point them to the M&P 2.0. Full size or compact. You will not go wrong. Again, I still say this is probably the best Glock replacement you can buy today. So that's why if you're looking for a solid, no-nonsense handgun to own, train with, and rely on, the M&P 2.0, it does deserve some serious consideration, you guys. So let me know what you guys think. Do you guys have an M&P 2.0? Thinking about it? If you have any questions about the platform, please let me know in the comments. So with that, guys, this is Rob, and have a good one.